22 event wins, 3 world championships, one of the most polarizing personalities in the scene. And on top of all that, he's arguably the greatest main AR in Call of Duty history. But the question for all of you is, do you think his time is up? Clayster has been a staple in the Call of Duty scene for over a decade. And while he's had more success than 99% of the players, he's no stranger to inconsistency. He was a crucial part of the Complexity dynasty, but he was surprisingly dropped after winning the first event of Ghost, and he ended up joining, at that time, a very subpar Optic Gaming team. But that's not even the worst part. He had to watch his ex-teammates that year achieve the greatest accolade in Call of Duty, a world championship. I've always thought Clay's biggest strength as a competitor was his passion and his hunger. In fact, no other player comes to mind when we're talking about facing adversity and rising from the ashes time and time again. After Clay's time on Complexity, he found himself bouncing around from team to team. He was on Optic Gaming for a little bit. Then he had a short stint on Envy in the beginning of Advanced Warfare, but neither team had any success. And then there was a big roster mania that went down in the early part of Advanced Warfare, and Clayster's stock wasn't as high. So he found himself on a team of essentially leftovers, including JCap, Attach, and Replays. Or some of you guys might know Replays as Crowder now, but that doesn't matter. A team that no one thought could be a contender. But not only did they have success, they absolutely shocked the world by winning the Call of Duty World Championship in Advanced Warfare. At that point in time, Clay was not only on a very successful team, he was widely considered the best player in the game. He had reached new levels with one of the most dominant performances in Call of Duty history at the World Championship, but it was just too good to be true. Because at that time, the World Championships weren't at the end of the year. They were like midway through or even a little bit before. And after that win, Clay's team's success started to fall off, but not for long, because shortly after, Clay and Attach ended up joining FaZe Clan alongside Zuma and Enable. Oh, that's me. And we became one of the most dominant teams in the game, winning 3 of the last 5 tournaments in Advanced Warfare, and realistically being the only team that could not only compete, but take down the Optic Gaming dynasty. But even our roster had its fair share of ups and downs. We were wildly successful in Advanced Warfare. Black Ops 3 was a rough year for not only FaZe, but Clay in general, where we just didn't have any real success, but we stuck it through. Maybe Clay had found his home in FaZe. Moving on to Infinite Warfare, Clay and the team had plenty of top 4, top 3 placings in that season, but we just couldn't get it done. We couldn't call ourselves champions, and by that point, we had been a team for a few years. We realized that a team change was necessary. And Clay was once again the player who had to be moved on from. And he found himself a new home in E United. And don't get me wrong, after a year and a half of solid placings, they didn't really have success. But Clay and E United ended up turning it around in the Black Ops 4 season. They went on to win back-to-back events, including the Call of Duty World Championship in Black Ops 4. And not only was his team having success, but Clay's trajectory was once again trending upwards. But unfortunately for Clay, there was another situation for him just around the corner. Going into the Modern Warfare season, Clayster was dropped again from his team. This was just after Clay and E United had just won the Call of Duty World Championship. And once again, Clay found himself in kind of a tricky situation because Call of Duty was franchising. He ended up teaming with essentially a team full of leftovers, similar to Denial, because at this point in time, Krim wasn't having as much success as he was early on in his career, not only from a team standpoint, but also individually. And he was teaming with 3 other question marks. And I say question marks because at the time, Shotzi had just recently transferred over to Call of Duty from Halo, even though he was a Halo World Champion. And then we were seeing a familiar face in Hugh, but he had been away from the Call of Duty scene because of age restrictions. He had some success in Halo as well, but he hadn't played much COD the last couple of years. And last but not least, they picked up an S&D superstar in Illy, but no one knew how he was going to pan out. So this team wasn't highly rated, at least compared to the other teams going into the MW season. But what did Clay do? Clay did what Clay does. Dedicated to proving his old team and everyone else wrong, Clay captured his second world championship in 2 years and his third for his career, an accomplishment that very few have done. No shot that history repeats itself once again, right? Well, unfortunately for Clay, it did just that. Because after the MW season, Call of Duty went back from 5v5 to 4v4. They went the traditional Call of Duty route. And what that meant for not only Clay, but every other player was it didn't matter how much success your team had. You know, Clayster's team had just won the world championship, and I'm sure if it stayed 5v5, he would have been a part of the Dallas Empire moving forward. But every team had to cut a player. And Clay was unfortunately on his way out from another team that had had so much success with him. But maybe a change of scenery is what Clay needs. You know, maybe he can find young talent and mold them into championship caliber players. And I think that's what his plan was in the Cold War year when he joined the New York Subliners. Unfortunately, he didn't really have success with them. You know, there were some ups and downs, there were some highlights, but overall, it was a very mediocre season for Clay. And I feel like this is where you could really start to see some of his frustrations. So after the Cold War season, Clayster reunited with longtime teammate Crimsix, hoping to recreate the success the two had in the past. And it was the exact opposite. The New York Subliners are at this point in time the worst team in the Call of Duty League. And not only are the New York Subliners having a horrible year, rumors had come out that Crim and Clay had some tension building up. There were arguments in their ideologies on how to play this game. And ultimately, a move had to be made. And it was Clay again who was benched from the team. And while it's looking likely that Clay won't get another opportunity on a team in the Vanguard season, because when you look at it logistically with contracts and everything else, I just don't see any org or any team making the move to try and trade for Clay. But will we ever see him play again? That's the question. Does he have it in him to rise from the depths of the league to claim glory for another time? Or are we going to see one of the greatest of all time end his career on a sour note? And I actually think that there are teams right now, today, that could use Clayster. A team that he can bring that structure, that leadership, a team that he can teach, a team that he can mold into being a successful championship caliber team. A team that could reignite the passion and the hunger inside of him again, like he's done countless times in the past. Even if he doesn't get that opportunity, I think Clay has had one hell of a career. And I would love to have him in the Call of Duty scene one way or another. Whether it be in the content game, I think he would be great at, or even on the management side of Call of Duty. And look, it's no secret that Clay and I, we've had our ups and downs, not only as teammates, but as competitors. But no matter what, no matter how we were towards each other, I've always valued Clay's dedication and his passion to being the best at his craft. And I'm thankful that I was able to be alongside of him for just even a little bit of the success he's had in his Hall of Fame career. And no matter what, Clay, if you're watching this, I wish you the best, Jen.